So UFC 323, Merab Dvalishvili versus Petr Yan 2 is taking place this weekend. And overall, this is one of the best cards of the year, man. This fight right here, Pantoja versus Josh Van. I've never been so hyped for a fucking flyweight fight in my life. I don't think there's ever been a flyweight fight, title fight especially, that I've been more hyped for. And not even that, the rest of the card is completely filled, not this fight, but there's just bangers after bangers after bangers on this card, man. So Tony has died. I'm going to be giving you my full card predictions for UFC 323. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, do all that YouTube shit. Let's get straight into it, starting with the first fight on the card, which is Marion Santos versus Muhammad Naimov. I think that this is a pretty simple fight to pick. I'm going to be picking Marion Santos to win this fight. If you don't remember Marion Santos in his last fight, he's got one of the weirdest physiques in the UFC. He's like skinny and fat at the same time. He's like built like DC, but out of 145 pounds. It's kind of a weird physique he's got in this weight class, right? 155 pounds, excuse me. I think that if Muhammad Naimov wants to win this fight, he's going to have to take it to the ground. And I just don't see that being a possibility against someone like Marion Santos with the physique that he has. He's just so buff. Look, like, I'm just glazing this dude at this point. His physique, I feel like it's built for anti-grappling defense. Naimov, he's got decent striking, don't get me wrong. But just going off of levels here, bro. Like, you compare their fights with Con Ofley. Marion Santos made Con Ofley look easy, bruh. And Muhammad Naimov went to a close decision with Con Ofley. So, I know that's MMA math, man, but I just feel like in terms of levels, I think Marion Santos is probably just the more well-rounded MMA fighter overall. I think he'll be able to stuff the takedowns up. I said Naimov. Santos is the more well-rounded MMA fighter. Naimov will be shooting for the legs because I feel like on the feet, it's going to be kind of out of place because Santos is just a better striker. I think he's got a better jab, better leg kicks, all that kind of stuff. So I think that Santos is going to be the one just controlling and dictating this fight. So I'm picking Marion Santos to win this by decision. All right, let's get on to the next fight. We got Mansur Abdul-Malik versus Antonio Traculli. Let's keep it 100, bro. Antonio Traculli, he's a DEI hire to the UFC, bro. Like, he's only in the UFC because he was dating Mackenzie Dern. And I know what you're going to say, bro. He was looking good in the Shara Bullet fight before he got knocked out, bro. But I just think that's because Shara Bullet, he's younger. It was his first real kind of step up in competition. And Shara ended up knocking him out regardless, bro. And say what you will, it says on his Tapology that Mansur Abdul-Malik went to a draw with Cody Brundage. It was a knockout, man. In the third round, he knocked out Brundage, but there was some weird, like after the fact scoring that ended up making it into a draw for some reason. Like Cody Brundage flukes another draw or knockout in his favor. Like Mansur Abdul-Malik, I don't think he's the best. I don't think he's going to be a ranked middleweight, bro. But I do think that he gets past Antonio Traculli. He's already beaten Brundage, who I think is better than Traculli. And yeah, man, I just think Traculli, like, he got subbed by Tresean Gore, bro. Let's be real, bro. He didn't even win his Dana White's Contender Series fight, bro. Like, it got overturned to a draw or a no contest or something after he got subbed, bro. Like, Traculli is just not good. He was piping Mackenzie Dern, and somehow they signed him to the UFC. You know, Mansur Abdul-Malik, he's undefeated. He's knocked out all of his opponents inside the UFC and outside the UFC. The Brundage one was a knockout. I don't care. He's super raw, though. So that's the only thing that concerns me about this is because if this could get to the ground, maybe Traculli could have some tricks for him, bruh. But my overall assessment is that it will never hit the ground. I think Mansur Abdul-Malik will knock out Traculli before it gets there. So, yeah, I'm going to pick Mansur Abdul-Malik to brutally flatline Traculli in the first round. The next fighter we need to talk about is Ivo Aslan versus Ivo Baraniewski. Man, I'm super hyped for this guy, man. This seems like, I feel like the Ivo Baraniewski is going to be another good Polish prospect in the UFC. And maybe, just maybe, we could see the UFC try to do a fight night in Warsaw again, or do a fight night. I'm trying to think of other cities in Poland. I just can't think of them off the top of my head. Maybe like Libin or something like that, bro. But Iwo Baraniewski, man, he is good. I think he's going to be a ranked fighter in the future. And I'm going to be honest, man, I just haven't really been, I haven't been impressed with Ivo Aslan, man. Knocking out Rafael Cerqueira, welcome to the fucking club, bro. You want a cookie? Rafael Cerqueira is dog shit. Anton Traculli, he's the pleasure man. He was giving Ivo Aslan some trouble in their fight. And you look past that, he lost to Cutelaba and he lost to Billy Elicana in a fight where he just looked under, he didn't want to fucking throw at all. This Iwo Baraniewski guy, if you watch his Dana White's Contender Series fight, he's going to be coming forward no matter what. He knocked out some jiu-jitsu prowess guy named Muhammad Ali, not affiliated with the other Muhammad Ali that we know. He knocked out a guy named Muhammad Ali who was a jiu-jitsu guy. He was really, really good, undefeated guy that he knocked out. And you look at his fights on the regional scene, all knockouts. He's a bulldozer of a human being. I think he should be able to overwhelm Ivo Aslan early in this fight, and I think he's going to find the finish. Maybe get a takedown and ground and pound, or maybe just flat out knock out Ivo Aslan, because Ivo just did not look good on the feet in his last fight. He just looked hesitant in all moments against Elicana. So, yeah, I guess Elicana's not terrible of a fighter, and maybe we'll see a fraud check in the debut for Iwo Baraniewski, or Baraniewski, or whatever you say it, bro. The Polish names, they always fuck me up, bro. Which is fucked up because my mom's last name, her maiden name, is Polish, bro. And so I always mispronounce the Polish names, and she gets mad at me or whatever. But listen, man. I think that Iwo Baraniewski should get this done against Ibo. It's like the battle, Iwo, the EO people, bro. This is who are fighting each other. Baraniewski should get this done, man. I just think he's going to bulldoze Ivo Aslan, who showed some weaknesses on the ground against Cutelaba and just showed he just can't, he's not a better technical striker than Elicana. I think Baraniewski's going to go out there and just use his strength and power and put it on Ivo early. So I'm picking Baraniewski to win this by knockout. Now we're getting to the juicy stuff, man, because every fight from here on out, I got rankings, not rankings, but there are, Jalen Turner was ranked a fight ago. Edson Barbosa, he used to be ranked. This is a good fight. Edson Barbosa versus Jalen Turner. Now, Jalen Turner, I'm picking Jalen Turner to win this by knockout, bro. He should knock out Edson Barbosa, who had he just on the feet looked bad against Drakkar Klose. And in the Lerone Murphy fight, yeah, he gave Lerone Murphy some problems early, but after Lerone Murphy found his groove, he started whipping up on Lerone Murphy, bro. And he got out-grappled by Bryce Mitchell in his other loss as well. And Jalen Turner, you kind of just count back off his losses. The fight with Gamrot, split decision, very close fight. Fight with Dan Hooker, broke Dan Hooker's orbital with a high kick, still lost. Close fight. Then he knocks out Bobby Green, worst stoppage. Ref! Stop the fucking fight, ref! Terrible stoppage, brutalizes Bobby Green. Then, in the Moicano fight with Jalen Turner, he walk-off KOs Moicano. If he just follows up with ground and pound, he wins that fucking fight. But he doesn't. He walks off. And then let me say this, bro. In the Ignacio Bahamondes fight, I'm going to say it. I think Jalen Turner quit. I think he just kind of, I need to see what Jalen Turner's mentality is looking like, bro. Because if he's just coming back for a paycheck, I'm picking Edson Barbosa, who's going to be the same version of himself in all of the fights, bro. But besides that, Jalen Turner, he is going to have a 4-inch reach advantage, a 4-inch height advantage. And he's going to be 10 years younger than Edson Barbosa. He's just more physical. Barbosa, if he gets hit in this fight cleanly by Jalen Turner, I do think that he will get knocked out because Jalen Turner, he is a beast, man. He is just a physical specimen for this division. He could be a 170 or has fought at 170 in the past. And I think that if Jalen Turner connects on Barbosa, he should knock him out maybe with a high kick of his own. But let me say this, man. The mentality of Jalen Turner, it's something to be concerned about because he's just coming out of retirement from a fight that he lost earlier this year on the Ankalaev Pereira 2 card, or 1 card. So he retires, he has the walk-off KO against Moicano where he doesn't follow up and he loses, and then he loses his next fight. The mentality side for Jalen Turner is what concerns me, but I'm going to pick Edson Barbosa, man. So if you think Jalen Turner is like a quitter, I would throw some little bit of money on Barbosa, but I think Turner, I think he's gonna come in. Like I don't think he's coming back for the money. I think he's coming back with a renewed interest in the sport, not disheartened, ready to get his get back. I think Jalen Turner should get this one done by knockout. All right, let's talk about the next fight. Marvin Vettori. Listen, man, Marvin Vettori. He's going to come in there. He's going to stand menacingly in front of Bruno Ferreira, and it's going to be beautiful, man. Like, this is going to be a Marvin Vettori comeback. No, but listen, man. Marvin Vettori is completely cooked in this fight. I think he's done, man. I just don't like... I don't want to hate on Marvin Vettori because he's been going through some rough times in his personal life as of lately, but name one good thing that Marvin Vettori can do, bro. Is he a good striker? Not really. Is he a good submission artist? Not really. Is he a good wrestler? Not really. What is something good that Marvin Vettori is good at, bro? Besides having a great chin. That's it. That's all he's good at, is having a good chin, bro. And Bruno Ferreira will punch him in the face in this fight, man. He's been getting a couple of submissions as of lately, but this guy is super well-rounded, has a spinning elbow KO against Dustin Stoltzfus. People forget, man. Knocked out Phil Hawes. He was doing really, really good in that Abus Magomedov fight, beating Abus's ass before eventually Abus gets the comeback victory on him. Armin Petrosian subbed him. That's a decent little win. And then Jackson McVeigh, he was supposed to fight someone else on that card. Can't remember who it was exactly, but Marvin Vettori, he's just not been looking good, man. Like, lost to Brendan Allen, and maybe in hindsight, it's Brendan Allen, and it's not a bad loss because we just saw what Allen did to De Ridder. But I'm gonna be honest, I don't really think that's on Allen. Like, I don't think that's on Allen being good. I think that's just on what happened to De Ridder in that fight. Like, why did De Ridder randomly just like curl into a ball, Anthony Smith style, you know? Then he lost to Dolidze. Come on, bro. His last win is Dolidze back in like 2023, I think. 2022. And then he lost to Dolidze. Like, why is Dolidze getting a rematch against him? Who knows? But then he lost to Cannonier. He did decent against Cannonier in that first round, but he got destroyed by Whitaker. Destroyed by Adesanya. He's just not... It's just not good, man. I hate to say this about Marvin Vettori. I honestly think this might be the end for him, man. I think that if he loses this fight, he should get cut. Even though he's ranked right now, like, who is he beating? Paulo Costa? That was like 5 years ago. That was like 6 years ago. I think Marvin Vettori is cooked, bro. Like, his only real skill that he has is being able to eat punches. Like, having a fucking iron chin is his only real attribute that he has. Yeah, man. I hate to say this about Marvin, bro, but I think Bruno Ferreira, who is just a beast of a fucking... He's coming in there... He's fucking... He's the Hulk, man. He's got wrestling and striking. I think it's going to be too much for Marvin. I'm going to pick Bruno Ferreira to win this one. Honestly, bro, this could be the first time we see Vettori get finished. But I'm never going to pick anyone to finish Vettori. Bruno Ferreira, he has the ability to finish this fight, but I'm going to lean more towards a decision. So, yeah, let's go on to the next one. This is a good fight, man. I was kind of hoping Ziam would get a shot into the rankings. He low-key deserves to be ranked over, like, Michael Chandler or some shit, bro. But he's on a nice little win streak. His only loss has been to Terrence McKinney so far. I'm going to pick him to knock out Nazim Sadykhov, all right? In Nazim Sadykhov's last fight against Nicholas Mota, Nicholas Mota landed like a 100-punch combination against Nazim Sadykhov against the fence in the first round. That was one of the craziest one-round fights of all time. It was that UFC Azerbaijan card. Nicholas Mota was laying a crazy combo on Sadykhov early. And I was just thinking, man, if this guy was just a little bit technically better or just a little bit stronger, he would have put Nazim Sadykhov out of there. And Sadykhov's like wins, they really just haven't aged very well. They're like Ismail Bonfim, bro. Like, Bonfim just, like, quit to whoever he fought last. He went to a draw with Borishev. Yeah, man. Like, we saw Borishev's last fight against Camilo. That's like, why are you not just beating Borishev outright? Like, he's not a UFC level fighter. Now, granted, he did beat Terrence McKinney, but that just means you're good enough to survive the fucking bum rush of Terrence McKinney. I don't think that means you're a better technical fighter than Ziam, who has the win over Mike Davis, who is really, really good. Got the win over Matt Frevola, head kick. I know it's Matt Frevola, but still put him out. Claudio Puelles, that's not bad. And Jai Herbert, Michael Fit, these are decent wins to have versus Nazim Sadykhov's wins just haven't aged well at all. And he's faced adversity in those fights, especially the Borishev fight, man. That Borishev fight was so close, and it's just like, I don't trust you to fight somebody who has the striking credentials of Ziam and be able to survive. So I'm going to pick Ziam to knock out Sadykhov. Let's get on to the next one. Let's just quickly break this one down. Maycee Barber, she's going to win this one by decision. She's going to get takedowns. She's going to strike at range. Corrine Silva, I guess you could say her last fight against Diane Barbosa was pretty close. Could have gone either way, but I think that, yeah, man, I just don't think Corrine Silva is very good. Maycee Barber, she had that whole seizure situation happen. And let me say this, she does have some close fights with some trash cans like Andrea Lee and Jessica Ai, but knocking out Reboss is pretty impressive, and she beat that Caitlin Serminera girl in her last fight as well. That was pretty good. She's been out for quite some time. It's good to see Maycee Barber come back to the octagon. I think she should get this one done by decision. Okay, I don't think Corrine Silva is all that. Lost to Viviana Araujo literally 2 fights ago. Araujo is not good. Okay, Maycee Barber, this is a welcome back Maycee Barber fight. All right. Next fight we need to talk about is Chris Duncan versus Terrence McKinney. I think that this is going to be a classic Chris Duncan fight, bro. I think Terrence McKinney, we were talking about Chris Duncan maybe even getting a ranked opponent off of that win over Mateusz Rebecki, right? Chris Duncan, he always gets hurt early and he always comes back and wins. Now, I will say this, Terrence McKinney, you can never count him out, bro. He has the win over Ziam. He's got a couple of other really decent wins as well, but it seems like they kind of just feed him cans to build name value because he finishes so highly, and then he gets a step up in competition, and then he loses. Kind of like what they did with Rebovich, where Rebovich put him out cold, But Terrence McKinney, he's not bad, bro. Don't get me wrong. I don't think Terrence McKinney is completely dog shit like some people do. I think he's going to be a decent lightweight. It's going to stick around the UFC for quite some time. And he could go out there and knock Chris Duncan out in the first round like he does with a lot of these other people. But I think Chris Duncan, if he's good enough to survive the brawling of Mateusz Rebecki, if he's good enough to survive the early onslaught of Jordan Vucinic, his only loss is the Manel Torres in the UFC. And Manel Torres, I might pick him to knock out Grant Dawson. That's a very close fight. I'll let you know my prediction on that in a second. But Chris Duncan, he always gets hurt early and then he comes back. So I think McKinney will hurt Duncan early in this fight. In the first round, maybe even the first exchange, McKinney will hurt Duncan. And I think Duncan's going to survive and rally a comeback KO against McKinney. And it will be a brutal one too, because Duncan, he's been super, super violent as of lately, just coming forward, nonstop volume. And I just think that he should, maybe a submission is something, maybe I should switch it to submission. No, because McKinney is very well tested on the ground, bruh. McKinney is very well adjusted on the ground. I think it will be a knockout for Chris Duncan. So, yeah, man, I'm gonna pick Chris Duncan to knock out Terrence McKinney in the second round. So, let's get on to the next one. The fight I was just talking about, Grant Dawson versus Manel Torres. All right, man. I hate to do this to Grant Dawson, but I'm picking against you, bruh. I don't hate Grant Dawson. I'm not one of these Grant Dawson haters. I definitely think he should be ranked and stuff, even though he's been boring as of lately. Now, the Rafa Garcia knockout, that was brutal. That was very impressive. We've seen what Rafa Garcia's gone on to do. He could arguably be ranked himself. But Manel Torres, his only loss is to Bahamondes, and Bahamondes is a ranked fighter. Besides that, man, he's pulverized everybody. This dude just has unholy power. And I'm saying this, man, if Carlos Diego Ferreira and if Bobby Green, if Bobby fucking Green can knock you out with was it a 1-2? just a 1-2 straight left, and knocked out Grant Dawson, I think that Manel Torres would knock out Grant Dawson. I think Manel Torres should be good enough to stuff the takedowns of Grant Dawson. I think maybe Grant Dawson will get him down in the first round, and then I think that Manel Torres will like kind of have figured out Grant Dawson's game going into the second round, and I think he'll find his chin. I think he could find his chin because Grant Dawson, he just kind of like, especially the Diego Ferreira fight where he just was like trying to avoid combat. Like he was literally just trying to go to a decision in that fight for some reason. It doesn't make any sense. He wasn't doing good ground and pound. He did good ground and pound against Rafa Garcia. And, you know, he deserved, like, his only loss is to fucking Grant Dawson. His only loss is to Bobby Green. And you could say it's fluky, bro. But he's been dropped before in his fights. And he just doesn't seem to want to, he doesn't have striking. Okay, so if this fight even is on the feet for, like, a couple of minutes, I think Manel Torres, who has insane power, will be able to knock out Grant Dawson. So I'm picking Manel Torres. It's a sketchy. This is a very close fight, but I'm picking Manel Torres, the underdog, in this fight. All right. Next fight we need to talk about is Jan Blachowicz versus Bogdan Guskov. I'm picking Jan Blachowicz, bro. I don't care if you look at Bogdan Guskov's run in the UFC so far. It's been against bums. Zach Pog is a bum. Ryan Spann is a bum. And he's a heavyweight. Billy Elicana, it was his debut. And Billy Elicana still gave Bogdan Guskov some fucking trouble. Nikita Krylov is a bum. He's not a bum, but he's not as good as he used to be. He's washed now. And I've been picking Bogdan Guskov in all these fights. And let me say this. The last good person that Guskov fought was Uzdemir. And he got subbed by him. And let me say this. The people that Jan Blachowicz has been losing to, he arguably shouldn't even be losing to him. Like, I thought that he beat Ankalaev. I thought he won the first 3 rounds against Ankalaev with the leg kicks. He had Ankalaev doing the tiptoe dance, bro. And there wasn't a 10-8 in round 5. The Ferreira fight, I thought Ferreira won the 3rd round, clearly. But he still used his elite grappling. He showed that he could take someone down that has a good striking. And he did that against Ferreira in the first round. The Olberg fight. I thought he beat Olberg. And now Olberg's probably getting the title shot against Pereira. So you look at who Jan Blachowicz is, the top 5 people, and he's arguably beating them. Guskov, yeah, he's beating people by finish, but they're all bums. Blachowicz hasn't been finished since Glover Teixeira, where he got submitted by him. And Uzdemir is the best person Guskov's fought, and he lost to him. And so I think that the win streak of Guskov has been kind of fraudulent. I think that the losing streak of Blachowicz has been fraudulent. And I think that this is a young guy who's pretty much untested, whose only real test he's lost to. Like, how are you getting a top 5 opponent off of Nikita Krylov, man? Like, come on, bro. I'm picking Jan Blachowicz to knock out. No, not knock out. Knockout is kind of crazy. I don't know, maybe. Nah, I'm going to pick him by decision. I think Jan Blachowicz should. He's just going to be a more technical fighter. He's going to be hammering the low kicks on Guskov. It's going to take away Guskov's power. And Blachowicz should piece him up, I think, to a decision and win the fight. I could see a fucking robbery because this is just literally like how Jan Blachowicz timeline goes, bro. But I do think that he should be good enough to beat Bogdan Guskov, who I think is a bit overrated at this stage. So, yeah, I'm picking Jan Blachowicz to win this by decision. The next one. Now, this is a really hard fight to pick. Because Peyton Talbott is an almost 3-1 favorite in this fight. Despite the fact that 2 fights ago, he got out-grappled by Ronnie Barcelos. Easily. Arguably 30-26 in that fight. Nothing for Barcelos on the ground. The problem is Cejudo really hasn't been using his grappling in his last couple of fights. Like the fight against Merab, he was trying to strike with him, and the fight against Song Yadong, he struck with Song Yadong the whole time. Now, in his 3 losses, Cejudo has looked good, and these are the top 5. These are top 5 bantamweights. Like Song Yadong's in the top 5. Merab is literally the greatest bantamweight of all time. Sterling is like the 3rd greatest bantamweight of all time. You know, he's having a split decision with Sterling. He dropped Merab, and so he's not putting up these bad performances. But then you look you look at like the fucking age and height and all that. Like Peyton Talbott's 5'10", Henry Cejudo's 5'4", and he's probably even shorter than that. He's probably like 5'3", 5'2". You know, the reach advantage. Talbott has a 4-inch reach advantage over Cejudo. The age advantage. He's almost 11 years younger than Cejudo. But I just can't get out the, like, I can't get the Ronnie Barcelos loss out of my mind, man. Because I feel like Henry Cejudo, who is an Olympic gold medalist, who is a double champion in the UFC, as much as I dislike Cejudo, he's just kind of always been obnoxious to me. I think that Cejudo should be able to use his grappling in this fight and win. I know the UFC wants Peyton Talbott to win, okay? The UFC needs Peyton Talbott to kind of get this one done, bro. But you can't force greatness, I don't think. Because it wasn't even 10 months ago that he lost to Barcelos the way he did, you know? Like, quite frankly, like, it literally was not even a year ago that he got completely out-wrestled by Barcelos. And I know Cejudo hasn't really been using the grappling, but I think he will be smart enough to do it in this fight, man. Cejudo's never... Has he been finished before? Yeah, he got knocked out by Mighty Mouse, and that's it. We know how good Mighty Mouse is. I don't think Peyton Talbot... I don't like where his headspace is, man. Like, he's more focused on being famous than being a fighter. He's getting this Dana White privilege against the number 10 bantamweight. I don't like it, man. I don't like this favoritism from the UFC for Peyton Talbot. I would have much rather seen a different bantamweight get this kind of test. Talbot, he lost to Barcelos. Like, Barcelos, why has Barcelos still not got a ranked opponent if he beat Talbot 3 fights ago? And now Talbot beat Felipe Lima. And there was a close fight with Felipe Lima. Felipe Lima is not even anywhere close to Cejudo in terms of level of grappler as well. In terms of experience, in terms of like, he's just like at the same level as Talbot. I think I'm going to pick Henry Cejudo to win this one by decision. And I could see Talbot fluking a KO and then me raging. But quite frankly, I don't care. I'm going to pick Cejudo to win this fight by decision. I think he should out-grapple Talbot. Honestly, I could see it being kind of boring, bro. Honestly, I could see it being kind of boring. I don't know about you, but I could. But yeah, I think Peyton Talbot, he's been given this, bro. You got Dana White privilege, bro. So yeah, I'm gonna pick Cejudo. Next fight we need to talk about is the baby assassin Brandon Moreno versus Tatsuro Taira. I'm so happy, thank you. I'm picking Tatsuro Taira, man. I think that I rewatched a couple of Pantoja fights so I can make my prediction for Pantoja Van. And one of the fights that I rewatched was Moreno versus Pantoja 3. And in that fight, Pantoja was able to win that fight with his back takes. And I think Tatsuro Taira is one of the best back takers in the UFC, man. I think that if this was a 5-round fight, I would definitely be favoring Moreno to be able to like kind of solve the puzzle of Tatsuro Taira over 5 rounds, find his groove and win. But do I think that Tatsuro Taira is good enough to get Brandon Moreno down 2 out of the 3 rounds? And I think he's good enough to hold him there. And I think once he gets Moreno down, he's a great grappler, don't get me wrong. He used to be known as a wrestler. But Pantoja was able to get that back take on Moreno and hold him there. I think Tatsuro Taira will be able to do something similar. I would not be surprised if Tatsuro Taira got a submission. But I'm more inclined to think that these guys are flyweights and they're both so high level and Moreno is good enough to stop the submissions. I'm more inclined to believe that Tatsuro Taira will win this one by decision. And so I'm going to pick Tatsuro Taira to beat Brandon Moreno by decision. Moreno, he has showed improved striking in his fights, and that's why I was kind of thinking of maybe picking him, right? But I look at all the fights where he had trouble in. The Royval fight, the Pantoja fight, the Figueiredo fight. I look at all these fights. These people mixed in grappling in their fights with them, and they made it super, super competitive. I think Tatsuro Taira should be able to do the same thing, except it's 3 rounds. And so, yeah, I'm going to pick Tatsuro Taira to be able to control Brandon Moreno, beat him up, and he should get the next title shot if he wins. So, yeah, let's talk about the co-main event. Alexandre Pantoja versus Joshua Van. I'm picking Joshua Van to win this fight. I just feel it in the air, man. I just feel it in the fucking air. I do see the arguments for both sides. And I'm not being delusional because I'm a Joshua Van Glazer. I'm not being biased. I think that Joshua Van is the best striker that Pantoja has fought. Ever. I think he's the best striker. Straight up, man. Maybe Moreno is better now at striking. Maybe Figueiredo is definitely better than Joshua Van. But I think Joshua Van will be the most dynamic striker Pantoja has ever fought. Joshua Van is so good at walking forward and overwhelming his opponents with volume that he will just be... I just see him being able to do the same thing to Pantoja. Now, one thing that's kind of bothering me about this fight is a lot of people think that, oh yeah, Joshua Van, he's super small for the weight class. Pantoja's just going to be so much bigger than him, bro. They're the same height. They're listed at the exact same height, bro. They are quite literally both 5'5". So, first and foremost, myth busted. Pantoja is not going to be that much bigger than Joshua Van. All right? Second of all, if Pantoja wants to win this fight, Van is just an all-around better striker than him. So he's going to have to take this to the ground. Obviously, we have not seen Joshua Van fight someone at the level of grappling that Pantoja is yet. But all the other grapplers he's fought, like Ray Soroya, I know it's Ray Soroya, but he was very easily able to stuff all of Ray Soroya's takedowns and beat the fuck out of him. Bruno Silva, he shot some takedowns on Van. He beat the fuck out of Bruno Silva. Roy Val is one of the best strikers in the division. Joshua Van was able to beat the fuck out of Roy Val and drop him in the fight of the year. And he did better against Roy Val than Pantoja did. And so I just think that, like, the momentum that Joshua Van's been carrying with him, he's been so fucking active. He's fought like 6 times in a calendar year. He's been like just getting better and better and better with each fight. Like, we can assume that he's going to get better in this fight because he's gotten better every other fight. And I know it's like, dude, Pantoja was literally like, you know, ranked number 3 when Van made his fucking MMA debut. And this is such a like crazy thing to go from being like unranked to fighting the champion in a year, man. But I think Joshua Van, I think he should be able to stuff the takedowns for 3 out of the 5 rounds. I don't think that, like, you look at all the people that fucking Pantoja has been fighting lately. Kai Kara-France is not a real title challenger, man. Kai Asakura is not a real title challenger. Steve Ersteg was able to have so much success against Pantoja, and that guy was not a real title challenger either. Then, the fight with Brandon Moreno, it was really, really close. And that's because Moreno was able to stuff some of Pantoja's takedowns and keep him on the feet. I think Joshua Van has enough tape on Pantoja, has seen enough Pantoja fights. He has the skills to pay the bills. He's got the fucking mentality. He's 24 years old. He's going to go in there and he's going to beat Pantoja by decision. 48-47, 49-46 is what I'm saying. I think that when this fight is on the feet, I mean, obviously, dude, the fucking Charles Johnson knockout is scary because Pantoja has like the same kind of physique and build as Johnson. But he doesn't have like the one-hit quit power that Johnson has. Like Johnson, like he's been to decisions and some like in most of his fights, and then he's got a couple of submissions. And yeah, maybe he could submit Joshua Van, but Van's never been subbed before. We've seen him try to take people to the ground. He's really, really good at scrambling. I think he's the fastest fighter in the UFC as well in terms of hand speed. I just think that Pantoja, he doesn't have really good head movement either. Like, he does have good head movement because he's the fucking champion. But I'm saying, like, I think Joshua Van will be able to find the target on Pantoja enough to win this fight, swole Pantoja's face up, bro, and win on the scorecard. So I'm picking Joshua Van to win this fight by decision. I hope I'm not wrong. I hope I'm not letting my bias get to me when I say this, but I really do think that Joshua Van has all of the skills. Like, yeah, Pantoja, he is a great grappler, and he could win this by submission early, and I could just look like an idiot. But I think Van is good enough to stuff the takedowns, man. I think he is. And I think if he's on the feet, he holds a clear advantage. So I'm picking my boy, Josh Van, to get this one done, all right? And let's talk about the main event. Merab Dvalishvili versus Petr Yan 2. I made a whole video talking about this already where I think that this fight is going to be a lot closer than it is that people are saying. A lot of people are just picking Merab to go out there and even like I've seen some people saying that Merab will knock out or submit Yan. I just don't agree with that whatsoever. It's because he gets one knockdown against Sandhagen. He's going to knock out Yan now. Like, what the fuck are people talking about? I think that Merab will win this fight, man. I talked about all the strengths for Yan in that video, but I made it very clear that I think that Petr Yan, I just don't think he can beat Merab with his style, man. Like, I just think he keeps too high of a high guard, bro. Like, when he's boxing, I think that he keeps too high of a guard. I think he will be able to stuff most of Merab's takedowns, but ultimately, man, it doesn't matter if you stuff Merab's takedowns because he's going to shoot another one, and he's going to shoot another one, and he's going to shoot another one, and another one, and another one, and you're going to be doing that for 25 minutes straight, stuffing takedowns. You don't have time to get started. It's going to be I think that Yan will be like, he's going to have his right hand in this fight, so I definitely think it's going to be more competitive. Like, in the first fight, his hand was broken, and it was like a kind of a thing people were talking about where it's like, okay, you beat Yan, but your hand was broken, and whatever. I think Merab, his striking has improved. He has improved since the Yan fight. Yan has improved as well, but I think Merab has improved more. He's just going to be unrelenting pressure and pressure and pressure, and just keeps coming forward no matter what. Even if you hurt him, he's the machine, man. He doesn't care. He's going to be walking forward the most of the fight. He's going to get takedowns at one point in this fight. He will beat up Yan on the fence. Just beat him up on the fence, do nothing, have a boring, knee him in the thigh, try to take him down, fail a takedown. Yan gets back on the feet, maybe lands a couple punches. Merab's going back to shooting another takedown, failing another takedown. And that's just the story of the fight, where Merab is just too overwhelming, man. And I think Petr Yan, he keeps his hand, he has a super high Muay Thai stance, and he doesn't keep he's gonna have to completely change his style in order to beat Merab. But as I said in that video, the fight, I think if Petr Yan wants to win this fight, he's gonna have to shoot some takedowns on Merab and make Merab wary about the takedown himself, because if he shoots on Merab, and he did get Merab down in their fight, people forget, man. If he shoots takedowns on Merab, Merab's going to have to worry about the takedowns himself, and that's when the striking opens up against Merab, as we saw in the Umar and Sandhagen fights, where they had success against Merab after they shot grappling exchanges of their own on him. But I just don't know if Petr Yan, I just don't think he's good enough to do it, man. I hate to say that because he is one of the best fighters in the UFC, but Merab, he's one of the best fighters of all time. This is going to be lapping the division once more, and we saw how the first fight went, man. It's crazy. The odds have completely flipped since the first fight. When the first fight got happened, Yan was a minus 350 favorite, and Merab was a plus 400 underdog, and now it's the other way around. Merab's a plus 400 favorite, minus 400 favorite, and Yan's a plus 300 underdog. And I just think that I could so see Yan making it closer than people think and being like, oh yeah, he did super good. But at the end of the day, man, Merab is just going to be relentless. He's just going to just shoot fucking takedowns no matter fucking what. And that's going to be the end of the story, man. He's just going to hold Petr Yan against the fence. Maybe crack him out in the open once or twice. Obviously, I think Petr Yan is still a much better striker than Merab. I just don't see this going good for Petr Yan, man. I just don't think he can stuff every single takedown. And even if he does, he's going to be against the cage. And yeah. I said in the video that he was a slow starter. He's not as a slow starter as people think. But to beat Merab by decision, you have to win the first 3 rounds. Because you're not winning round 4 and 5 against Merab. Petr Yan, I don't think he can win rounds 1, 2, and 3. So, yeah, I'm picking Merab to win this one by decision. Here are the predictions. We got Merab, Van, Taira, Cejudo, Blachowicz, Torres, Duncan, Barber, Ziam, Ferreira, Turner, Baraniewski, Abdul-Malik, and Santos. But that will do it for the video. If you like the video, like, subscribe, comment. do all that YouTube shit. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.